Coming up, we have stories about arguments over therapy, turning off Love Island, excuse me, not leaving a tip, annoying bathroom breaks, pranks gone wrong, inappropriate jokes, and of course we have spicy stories, petty revenge, and cake stories. Am I the astronaut? I told my partner off for suggesting I needed therapy. A few weeks ago, my partner and I went on a trip to Tanzania to go on a safari. It was pretty nice, and we had met a lot of really great people who were in the safari car with us. Then, as we're driving back home, our driver decides to stop at a gas station. There are a bunch of people that try and sell cheap souvenirs to make a living. I know that salespeople bothering you is the norm in Tanzania, but there was one lady who just kept following me around after I repeatedly told them I'm not interested, probably like 20 plus times. Then after I got into the car, the salesperson reaches through the window, continuously probing me to buy stuff. I know that the people need to earn a living, but I was getting kind of pissed off. Fed up, I got the salesperson's hands out of the car, said thank you one last time, and then shut the window. Perhaps it may have been a bit aggressive, but I didn't think that much about it. Like 10 minutes later, however, my partner starts to ask me whether I felt myself getting more angry lately. My dad has a history of anger issues, and I said, no, not really. Context, we've never really had any incidents where either of us is blown up unless something really bad happens. For example, on the scale of losing a job or a friend dying, especially after growing up with my dad, I've learned to try and talk things out whenever bad things happen. A few more minutes pass and my partner says that there's great therapy out there for people to fix their problems. I again tell her that I really don't think I've been getting angry lately and that this was an isolated incident. Then we get off the car and she says, if you're worried about the stigma, it's okay. No one is going to judge you for going to therapy. Lady, drop it. Drop it. Oh my gosh. It wasn't well received the first time. Maybe you step back and take another approach here. I was kind of annoyed at that point and told her to f*** off. Honey, I think you have anger issues and you should go to therapy. F*** off. We both swear a lot at each other and not in an angry way. She took it really hard and asked the hotel if there was an additional room available for her to stay the night. I've been trying to apologize for the past few hours, but she's locked herself in her room and is completely unresponsive. I know that she just wants to help me, but from my perspective, I don't think I did anything wrong enough to deserve that reaction, but her perspective and yours might be a bit different. So, am I the astronaut? Before reading the couple of edits here, I'd like to talk about this for just a second. Tata Rooney, off the rip, thoughts here?
So I feel like if you insinuate that someone needs therapy or tell them that they need therapy, I think you should first tell them why. And instead she said, do you notice yourself getting angry lately? And I feel like in that moment she had the opportunity to communicate what she's perceiving to be the issue. And she didn't communicate that well enough for me. It was just like, you seem angry, you need therapy. Obviously him telling her to f*** off was probably not the right move, but he was just kind of like, dealing with the salesperson in that way, and then he gets in the car and he gets the salesperson away from him, and then his partner kind of starts in, and it's like he was probably overstimulated or maybe overwhelmed in that moment. I don't know, but he probably should not have said that. So I'm currently at an ESH, but I 100% believe if you're going to tell someone they need therapy, you need to be able to communicate why you believe that. Not just say, have you noticed yourself getting angry? It needs to be, hey, this is what I'm seeing. This is how it's affecting our relationship. How do you feel about this? And instead she was like, you need therapy. And that to me is like, it's abrasive when it comes from a partner, and there's no explanation tied to it. That's how I feel about telling someone they need therapy.
Yeah. Also putting myself in OP's position here. I mean, we've been through those areas where, you get off the cruise ship and at the port, like,
it's stressful.
They are all over you trying to sell stuff. And in this case, somebody's invading your space. And also, I would have a protective feeling come up too for you, because if they're invading my space, they're invading our space. And if they're invading yours, vice versa, it still applies. I would be less angry, more protective in that, and trying to create some distance here. So I'm trying to keep that in mind as well. It does kind of seem like there should have been a discussion from both sides, and not just no, I feel like I've been fine, but what makes you say that? Like a further discussion or hey, when we get back to the room, let's really dive in on this. I'm not ready to talk just yet.
If you're the one approaching your partner and telling them they need therapy, you need to come with the why. I shouldn't have to say, why do you think I need therapy?
Yeah.
It should come from you. You're bringing up therapy in a terrible moment, honestly. And then you're telling me that I need it. You need to bring the why.
Yeah. All right, edit. A lot of people have told me I am the asshole in this case because I failed to ask my partner why exactly she felt I needed therapy. Yes, how dare you in the heat of the moment. I get it, but also, like, come on. While I'm not sure yet whether I want therapy, I am going to try to have a conversation with her about why she chose to recommend it. Also, I know in this subreddit, you're not supposed to ask for advice, but the comments you have all made have actually been really useful. Even if you think I get the point that I'm the asshole and don't see a reason to post, your perspective could be immensely useful for me. Thanks a lot. Edit 2, I forgot to mention that where I live, telling someone to get therapy is like saying you're dangerous, so go get a doctor to fix you before you hurt someone or yourself. It's pretty much only used in that context, so when I heard it, I took it as though my partner was saying I was dangerous for her. Looking back though, my outburst wasn't justified. Oh, now it's an outburst. So it has escalated a little bit in OP's own words about what went down.
I mean, I think that's great that he's taking accountability. I still stand on what I said, that if you're going to tell someone they need therapy, don't make them ask why. Like, bring the why to the conversation so that you're there in a caring way, supportive way. Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just a jab.
100%.
It's like the whole.
It's confrontational.
It's the jab and run kind of approach instead of being there to actually back it up. I get it.
So, but because he told her to f off, I do think it's an ESH, but I think she needed to read the room, and that wasn't the time to bring that up. Like he said, they could have had that conversation when they got back to the hotel.
Yeah.
But also, like, somebody sticking their hands, like, in that moment, I would have been very overwhelmed too.
And
with,
being
like,
followed.
If someone was in my bubble for a long time that I didn't want there, like, I would feel that would overwhelm me, and I probably would respond in a non-normal way.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't. I don't know. If someone wants to tell me that I need therapy, please bring the why to my table.
Yeah, and maybe don't say it at a time when someone has pushed me to the edge.
There you go. So
it seems a little unfair. So where are you at here? Is it an ESH?
I would put him at a 3 or 4.
Should have done it differently. Not could have, but should have.
Yeah, or maybe could have, but I think she's definitely a 3. That she should have had that conversation differently with her partner.
So indeedly do ESH.
So
both
I'll put
3-ish.
Yeah, I'll put him at a 4 and I'll put her at a 3 because I think she sucks a little more for me in this situation.
I think that's fair. I think it's fair. We'll go ahead and make the official determination for OP here at a 4. And yeah, the encounter could have been minimized. But if somebody's like in your bubble and following you in your bubble, there's going to be an escalated response that's out of character at some point. And especially if you have, a history of anger issues to deal with, that's going to tap into it real quick. But for that to be the moment where your partner, your person who's supposed to be there for you all the time, to be like, you need help, that's not constructive. It's destructive. Am I the astronaut for muting Love Island during my trivia show and snapping at a waitress who told me to leave it on? I-34 female host a weekly live trivia night at a local bar. Okay, well, there's the context about what it was. She wasn't watching a show. It was a live thing. Let's call it Barzos. I've done this show for a few months, but I never know what I'm walking into. There's poor communication, no consistent manager, and the bar rarely promotes the event. Each time I arrive, it's like a rotating cast of staff, and none of them really know or care who I am or what I'm doing. This week, I hadn't seen any promotion, so I posted a simple comment on their Facebook page asking if trivia was happening. That comment triggered one of the managers to message my manager saying they wanted to cancel. I had no way of knowing that since no one told me directly, so I showed up like I always do. When I arrived, the Rangers game was playing loudly, so I sat at the bar with zero expectations. Eventually, I overheard customers asking the bartender if trivia was still happening. That was my cue. I set up, started the game, and got 2 or 3 teams playing. One kind staff member even muted the game so I could be heard. Mid-show, I noticed a group of young women upstairs streaming Love Island. Not cable TV, not sports, just a show from a streaming service, and the volume was loud enough to drown out my mic. So I quietly walked over to the table and muted the TV so the teams could hear me. Not long after, they turned the sound back on. I finished a few more questions, then walked upstairs and gently let the girls know trivia happens every Tuesday from 7 to 9, so they'd know for next time. They cut me off and said, well, we called ahead and were told we could watch this. Not our problem. Interesting. I was stunned by the entitlement, but before I could respond, one of the waitresses, who has always been cold toward me, jumped in and said, we're going to leave it on. They're paying customers. At that point, I had 3 questions left. I told her, that's rude.
Oh, she told that to the waitress.
Yes, she said that to the waitress. Yeah. She got defensive and said I wasn't acting like an adult. I said, I am an adult. I can cuss, and I'll be here every Tuesday whether you want me to or not. I wrapped up the game as fast as possible and then approached one of the owners. I calmly explained how inappropriate it is to let staff and customers play a TV show over a live event, and how the general lack of communication and support is making it impossible to do my job. He apologized and said it wouldn't happen again. He also told me to leave looking happy, which, okay. I smiled, shook his hand, and left. When I went to pay for my drink, the new bartender tried to subtly reach for my change like I was supposed to tip her. I didn't. I just took it and said, all right, guys, see you next week. So, am I the astronaut for muting the show and snapping at the waitress, or is this just what happens when no one takes your job seriously? All right, this is not at all. Well, I know. Trivia is going to be bounced. I agree, Real Broad. They're going to cancel trivia. That's what's going to happen here.
It's a lot to unpack. I feel like she has a lot of anger over her job, maybe. I don't know, but I don't think the miscommunication is happening at the restaurant. It feels like it's happening because they told her manager it was canceled. The manager never relayed that to OP. So that to me is the miscommunication in this whole thing. This all could have been avoided had her manager communicated to her. But all of that aside, adults can cuss, obviously, like I'm a fan. But there's a huge difference between cussing at someone and like cussing in conversation. And she cussed at someone by calling them rude and said, that's rude. And there's a huge, huge difference between the two, in my opinion.
Yeah. And in the very beginning, OP said I-34 female. There's some questions about whether it was a lady or not. Yeah.
I feel like in that moment, you definitely should not be saying, like, when there's a heated moment between two adults and like this kind of setting, you should not be cussing at each other.
No, and in that, I mean, you're a representative of some kind of organization here. Like I as a business owner, wouldn't want one of our team members out there representing us like that. So I don't know if the bar contracted with her or who contracted with her or organization. There's a mismanagement thing going on. It sounds like kind of on the restaurant/bar side and on her team's side somewhere there. And shit rolls downhill. So you ended up paying the price for it here. There's miscommunication. The bar's going to end up canceling. I think it's going to happen, especially if they're paying attention to what's happening with bars in Love Island right now. Like there's takeovers. It's a huge attraction. Like it's probably going to happen. You're going to end up having to find a different place to do trivia. They weren't really in it anyway. They weren't even promoting it. So
yeah, I feel like I think you're mad for the wrong reasons. Like you're mad because it's not successful in that bar. Like
it's frustration. Yeah.
Frustration. Yeah. You're frustrated because these things that you think should be happening aren't happening. So I think when you walk through the doors of this specific place, you're already frustrated. You already have some kind of anger going on. So anything that happens is going to be seen as like a direct attack at you because you're already angry about the situation.
You're already annoyed.
But also, if I had to choose between trivia and Love Island, I'm choosing Love Island every time. So. But that's just my personal opinion.
You know what would be the smart thing to look at, OP? Treat this as an opportunity and say, wow, this Love Island thing is really capturing a lot of people's attention. What if after each episode we do Love Island trivia?
Yeah, make it fun and engaging instead of just getting pissed that other people are doing different things. Yeah. It just the way she tells it, like all of it, there's something about it that
there's frustration. Frustration
it rubs me the wrong way.
Oozing from the words.
Like, and I think she's frustrated in many areas of this job and like what she's doing. But like coming up and muting a TV that somebody's watching in a public bar is very bold and ballsy.
It's overstepping.
And I think that was rude.
She didn't have the authority to do that.
No, and I do feel like the restaurant could have replied directly to her or to make sure her manager communicates directly to her as well.
My boyfriend has always called himself a kid at heart. He collects toys from quite a few different series: wrestling, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, X-Men, anime, etc. We are in our 20s, but they aren't for collecting purposes. They're all out of the box, and yeah, he plays with them. Whenever he thinks I'm asleep, I can hear him mimicking the voices of characters or doing commentary, and I'll peek in the room and see him actually playing with them. There's another thing. It's a small apartment, and he's got a whole room just for them, and a whole dresser full of parts and cards and their weapons and such, but they're confined to that room. None of them are anywhere else. When he comes home from work, it's one of the first things he does, play with the toys. We get packages from eBay or Amazon almost twice a week, but he still makes time for me. I thought it was cute and endearing at first, but we've got a baby on the way, and my friends are laughing at me. Sounds like you're dating a 12-year-old. With the baby, I want to use that room for something like a nursery. I politely asked him how he would feel about getting rid of them, but he said no. I said something about giving them to charity, but he said no again. I brought it up that it could give us a lot of extra money if we sold them, but he still denied it. I asked about the baby, but he said we'll just budget it out like we always do. How we'll spend less on figures, but selling his collection is out of the question. I told him that they could make some other kid, a less fortunate kid, happy. The teasing from my friends has continued. They all kept telling him he needs to grow up. Word got to his father. According to my boyfriend, his father wouldn't let him buy anything like that after 12, but when he moved out, he could buy all the figures he wanted. I showed his dad pictures of the toy room, and he was shocked. He got mad and said we're stopping that right now, that he wanted me to help him grow up. This morning, my boyfriend was sleeping in when his dad came over. He grabbed a big trash bag and started just grabbing handfuls and putting them inside. When he was almost done, I told my boyfriend what was going on and that it was for his own good. They had an action figure intervention. He ran out and saw the room was empty and his dad with 2 big trash bags, leaving with them. He tried taking the bag and begging him to quit, but he didn't. His dad said, "It's time to grow up." He started crying and sat down. But he was yelling us about how those are all he does, even though he had me. Dad agreed with me. "You've got your lady and a kid on the way. You don't need this shit." He was sobbing. His dad put them in his car and left. He said he's tossing them in the trash. I told my boyfriend I was sorry, but it had to be done, to think about the baby. But then he yelled at me about how could I throw stuff away that he collects. He didn't actually throw them out. It was just a bluff. It was actually all donated to a thrift store.
Oh my gosh.
Instead of saying, was this truly wrong of me?
Yeah. Oh, this actually makes me really sad. I do not, this is not how you should handle that situation. Like, you could have boxed them up. He could have had them in the garage. He could have kept his shit. But I understand that you need the room for a nursery, but fuck, man, this is not how you do shit. Like, this makes me, it breaks my heart for this guy. This was so far over the line. Like, oh, no.
So OP's partner already had the core feeling that his father never accepted who he was, right? Like, rejected a big part of him. And now his partner has done the same. And actually, enlisted the help of the man who probably, harmed him the most emotionally by rejecting this part of him. It's something it's his hobby. It doesn't matter. You don't have to understand it. And I think that's one of the kickers about marriage and relationships is you don't have to understand everything about your partner. You do have to respect it. You didn't have to understand this. You didn't, it's not for you to get. It's not your thing. But what happened here has extremely damaged your relationship. And I would not be surprised if this didn't fall apart quickly.
Oh, he's going to be depressed. And this is, I can't imagine doing this to somebody. This is not like you went in and collected all their alcohol or went in and collected.
It was a hobby intervention.
Other things that they were doing but this was you went in and took stuff that he collected, stuff that you knew about when you met him, that you used to find endearing. And instead of boxing it up and putting it in the garage to clean out the room, which that I feel like I could understand to a point, but this was just mean. This was just mean shit from both dad and girlfriend.
Yeah, because they don't understand it. And whenever we don't understand something, we make it evil in our mind because it's easier to reject it, right? And that's what they did. They made it wrong. They made it wrong, and that was really easy to reject. One of the first things my therapist told me to do whenever I started doing therapy was to play. Playing is one of the best things that you can do for stress, to get out of your head, to be able to process things, like act physically playing with things, not just like video games, but like playing with things. And this was probably, whether he realized it or not, this was therapy for him. Think about all the conversations that he was having between those figures were probably communicating a lot of things that he otherwise can't communicate. He was working things out while he was doing that. This was therapy for him. So OP, you can now expect him to just shut down. He's going to close himself off because now you've rejected a major part of him. Also, this is a great preview for how it's going to be with your kid someday. When it's your child that has something that helps them a lot and is a hobby, but they've turned it into, something that is actually constructive as well. Are you going to reject that in the same way? Because it's not going to make it go away. It's not going to make that part of them go away. It's just going to train them to hide that part from you.
Ask on one, black hole, all the above. Yeah, and I see people asking if they can press charges because dad took his stuff out of their apartment without permission, but I don't know, since they live together because of the girlfriend.
Yeah, I mean, it was his property, so I don't know, maybe. OP and dad both in black hole territory here. Bye. Look, it's an action figure on his way to the thrift store. Bitch. I stole from a shopping cart. So this happened a few days ago at a grocery store. I was waiting patiently in my lane, and beside me, there was a priority lane for senior citizens, PWDs, etc. There were a couple of elderly people sitting on the chairs provided specifically for them while waiting for their turn. Pretty normal setup. Now some guy casually walks up and cuts right in front of the seated seniors. I speak up and say, hey, they're already in line. And this guy, without even looking at me, goes, I don't see them standing in line though. Real smug, real dismissive. The elderly folks looked uncomfortable but didn't want to cause a scene. So I shut up and I simmered. A few minutes later, we're still in the lanes and I notice his cart is stacked with what looks like camping gear, such as a sleeping bag, paper plates, marshmallows, instant noodles, a portable stove, etc. And there it was, a single can of butane gas. And right there, I saw an opportunity. The guy's blabbering on the phone, totally distracted, so I casually leaned over, plucked the butane from his cart, and slid it into mine. He didn't notice. He checked out and left. I paid for my stuff, including his butane, and walked away. Somewhere out there, this man arrived at his campsite, probably boasting about how smart and quick he is, and when he tried to fire up that portable stove, no gas, no hot food, no coffee, just crunchy noodles and the sweet taste of consequences.
Yes.
Hopefully. Nicely done. Nicely done. Nicely done. Nicely done. I like it. What's the shittiest thing that you've seen happen in a grocery store line or a store line, period?
One, I just have to say, I hate line cutters.
Oh.
I don't even know what it's called, but I hate people that
Turd
do
cutters.
that. Turd cutters. Wait your turn. Like, quit trying. Like, when there's like one line at the gas station and there's two checkout things and you were just filtering to whichever one opens up next, and then the one person comes and stands behind on the other side, and I'm like, you see the whole line of people standing here to wait. Like,
it's the reverse zipper merge,
like
where there's one line that feeds into multiple,
yes.
and then somebody goes and stands right next to, like, starts a second line, and they're like, oh, why is no one standing in this line? It's because that isn't a line, you dick. Sorry.
We're talking about Casey's.
Yes, Casey's for sure.
Quick Trip
is like that.
I love they've got it like both sides going, and they're two on each side.
Quick Trip, like
line jumpers. There you go.
Quick Trip, you could walk up to a urinal and they check you out there. Like, they have it down to where, like, you can be anywhere, and they're like, boop boop, see you later. I'm like, how so fast? Casey's takes 12 years. That's the difference.
Whenever I was at Sam's yesterday, I was waiting. There was somebody parked their cart like right in front of the Diet Coke. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to stand here. But then it was a married couple and they proceeded to argue. And he was like, I've got to unload this whole truck whenever I get home. And Navy was right there. And I was like, because he did not seem happy. Like, he was angry. And I was like, oh God, I just want my Diet Coke. And she's standing in front of it and she's rolling her eyes and like looking sideways. And I think they're kind of being jestful. But I was like, And so finally I was like, I'm just going to like work my way over there. And then I go over there and she like kind of like half hugs me and like pats my back. And I was like, she's like, marriage, am I right? And I was like, oh, don't touch me. I don't know you. And Davey was just like the whole time, like wide-eyed looking at me. And I was like, and then she was like, said something about how they're hosting for the 4th of July and he's going to have to unload all this. And he already knew that. And I was just like, okay, I just want my Diet
You're
Coke.
back sweating at this point.
I was sweating.
Right?
And then
Don't touch my sweaty back.
we walked away and Navy goes, do you know them? And I was like, no. And she said, why did she touch you? And I was like,
such a smart kid.
And I was like, I didn't even know what to say. Like, I didn't have like a teaching moment response prepared because I'm like, Navy, if she doesn't want to be touched, I don't want people touching her. And I was just like, I was so like flabbergasted by the whole situation. And this guy was just grumbling, pushing his giant flat of Coke and Pepsi and all this stuff they had. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck is going on right now, but I've got to get out of this store.
Where were you at?
Sam's. In the like drink aisle. And
I was imagining all this going down to Target. And I'm like, this doesn't seem right.
No, it was but I was like,
this doesn't seem right.
Maybe the whole time is just like, the fuck?
Am I the astronaut for not tipping after overhearing what my waitress said about me? So this happened last weekend and I'm still thinking about it. My girlfriend thinks I overreacted, but honestly, I'm not sure. I went to this local diner by myself around 2 p.m. on Saturday. Nothing fancy, just wanted some pancakes and coffee. The place was not busy at all, maybe 3 other tables occupied. My waitress looked like she was in her early 20s, seemed nice enough when she took my order. Everything was going fine until I needed to use the bathroom. It's one of those places where you have to walk past the kitchen area to get there. As I'm walking back to my table, I hear my waitress talking to another server near the kitchen. She's pointing in my direction and says something like, "See that guy over there? Total weirdo vibes. Keeps looking around and all nervous and shit. Probably lives in his mom's basement." I froze, like literally stopped walking. I have social anxiety and yeah, I probably do look around a lot when I'm eating alone because I get uncomfortable. But hearing someone just tear me apart like that when I'd been doing nothing but being polite, that stung. I went back to my table and finished my food in silence. When she brought the check, she was all smiles again, asking if everything was okay. I just paid the exact amount to the bill and left. No tip. So here's where it gets complicated. My girlfriend found out what happened. I told her why I was upset, and she thinks I still should have tipped because that's her job and she probably makes like $3 an hour. She says what the waitress said was wrong, but I shouldn't have taken it out on her paycheck. But I don't know, man. I tip well usually, like 20% minimum. I've worked food service before, so I get it, but this felt different. She was making fun of a paying customer for no reason other than I seemed awkward to her. That's not okay in my book. Part of me wonders if I should have said something to her directly or asked for a manager, but confrontation makes my anxiety worse. Walking out without tipping felt like the only way I could respond. Should I have sucked it up and tipped anyway, or was walking out justified? Okay, so for starters here, yeah, servers do or did. I don't know if that structure has changed, but we made like what, $2.35 an hour plus tips.
$2.13.
$2.13 an hour.
To get bumped up.
But it's like if you didn't make enough in tips, like you had your paycheck would get you up to minimum wage, right? So, but yes, they still will make at least minimum wage, but they are only guaranteed like the $2.13 an hour or whatever plus their tips. I personally feel like a server accepts the risk of whatever tip they're making off of that table being dependent on how they treat that table. She didn't do it to his face. It's still a shitty thing to do. And if you're doing it in the kitchen, when you know that the pass through for the bathroom walks right by there, you accept the risk of somebody overhearing you as well. I think server got what she deserved here, which is not where my heart as a server would be at. But in this case, I think she fey-foed.
I'm not a super confrontational person. Just kidding. I'm not. I'm really not.
She's really not.
But in this moment, when she came back to check on me, I would have been like, hey, just so you know, I don't live in my mom's basement. I'm not a weirdo. I have anxiety.
Yeah.
And I would have looked at her like dead in the eye and said those exact words and just looked at her and let it sink in. And then I would have probably tipped like $2 or something. But it would not have been the normal. Our low is 20%. Like,
yeah,
if it's a good experience and like everything was perfect, like we're going to tip way more than that. But because we were servers, because we get it, because we know like when you have an awesome server, like they're earning that money. But in that moment, if I had overheard that about myself, I would have just shut it down and made her, like, he didn't do anything wrong. And I think he had every right not to leave a tip based on what he heard. But I would have let her know so that, like, 1, I see you. 2, like, that was uncalled for. And 3, please don't do this again because it does affect how much you're going to get paid.
Yeah.
I would,
yeah.
yeah. And it's,
Well, follow that for a second because right now, this server has no idea why you didn't tip her.
That's exactly what I was going to say, because I have been not tipped multiple times, and I'm sure you have too. And I never know bullshit. You don't know what the reasoning is, and you don't know why you didn't get tipped, because I really, really tried to put, like, every time my best foot forward, pay attention, like,
kill them with kindness.
Really good at multitasking and getting my tables exactly what they need. Like, I did not f around because it was my livelihood. And so to not get tipped and not know why, like, that hurts and that stings. And it's like, I just wasted the last hour of my life because I didn't make any money from that. And in fact, I just had to pay out money because I had to pay tip share, or I had to pay taxes on that. And so I think telling the person exactly why they messed up is important. Let them learn from it so that they don't f it up again. And I think even if all you did on the tip line was tip, don't talk shit about customers. Somebody said no server is making $2 an hour. Bull shit. They might make $3 now, but they're not making minimum wage.
As what they're paid, like an actual wage, not tip dependent wage. It is like it was 2 something. It's different in different states now.
Yeah, in Missouri it was $213, and then it was $235.
Ted, so 213. And
if you're not in the USA, you probably don't understand how it's working.
Which is probably a fundamental, flaw with that system,
100%.
Right? We don't want it to be that way. That's just the way it is.
Everyone is like, no, it's literally $2.
Yeah, it's and that's not the way that we want it to be. That's just just what it is.
If you don't know how it works, please don't comment, because it's stuff like that. The tipping culture in America is ridiculous. Like, we can all agree to that. Especially when you go to a retail store and they're like, how much do you want to tip? Nothing. I picked out my own stuff.
Oh, it's everything now.
But also, like, you have to understand that is still the system that we have in place in this country. So when you choose to go in and say, it's not my job to pay your employees, we're not going to have waitresses. We're not going to have servers who want to do this, like, because nobody's wanting to tip anymore. And this isn't going to change the system. Like, something has to change, but this isn't, like, just not tipping people or saying people don't actually make $2 an hour. They 100% do. So do some research, look into it, and hopefully things can change in the future, but it's not happening right now.
Let's go. It's another spicy story, y'all. This one is, am I the astronaut? My mom brought my stepdad to the hospital after I gave birth, even though I told her not to. I recently gave birth, and I was so excited to tell my mom that the baby was here. She asked me when would be a good time to come visit, and I told her that before her work would be fine. I made it very clear that I wanted just her to come, no one else, because I wanted the vibe to be peaceful, and my stepdad doesn't bring that at all. She texted back saying that's okay. So I assumed she respected that and it would just be her coming. She even sent me pictures from the store of some cute things she was picking out for me to make a little gift bag. She seemed happy and like she was being thoughtful, so I felt good about it. Then, when I said it was a good time to come, she hit me with, "We're on our way." Whoop. I looked at my boyfriend like, what? I genuinely thought she was coming alone, but nope, she showed up with my stepdad and my stepbrother. I'm cool with my stepbrother, this ain't about him. The second my stepdad walked in, I felt the vibe drop. I was literally sitting there naked, breastfeeding my baby, and he walks in and goes, "Oh no." Like, this is exactly why I didn't want you here. I didn't say anything because I just had a baby and didn't have the energy to deal with that kind of drama, but it was so disrespectful. I had every right to choose who I wanted around me in such a sensitive moment. My mom was all smiles and acting like everything was great, but I was upset, and she knew I was upset, and it's like she didn't care. She completely disregarded my boundary and brought him in anyway. I don't know why she feels like he has to be involved in everything just because that's her husband. I didn't want him there, period, and the whole experience feels tainted because of it. I feel like tainted is a dangerous word when you're talking about childbirth. I just want to get that out there.
I feel like if you tell your mom to come alone and she brings the entire family, that sucks. And I think that sucks. And like to say, like, I think he meant, oh no, like I'm seeing too much, but like, oh no.
Oh no, a boob.
Oh no, a baby's eating. What are we going to do? But I do feel like when someone has a baby, you don't just walk into the room without them knowing that you're walking into that room because, like, she could want privacy when she's doing whatever it is that she's doing, but your mom completely dismissed what you wanted. Like, you're not just going to show up after somebody had surgery just because you want to be there. Like, you're going to wait for that person to tell you that it's okay to stop by.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why the same respect isn't given to a new mom because she had a baby, so she doesn't. I don't understand why people are so dismissive of somebody having a baby and not treating it the same as being in the hospital, checked in, and needing permission to enter their room. Like, it is so much. Like, 1 minute you're sitting on a pillow, donut, whatever, and then next minute you've got a heating lamp or whatever. Like, it's a whole thing, and you're uncomfortable. And especially like if this was their first child and she didn't know all about all the after stuff, or she just wanted to be able to be present in the moment, and then bringing something in that you specifically asked someone not to do is just such a violation of just every boundary. Like, I can't imagine somebody coming into my birthing suite that I specifically asked not to be there. Like, it would ruin the moment, and it would feel like an overstep. And for her mom to be the one to do that is hurtful.
Yeah. Do you feel like her mom was the one who talked stepdad into going?
I don't know. I mean, she says, I made it very clear that I wanted just her to come, no one else, because I wanted the vibe to be peaceful.
So either she just failed to relay that to him because she didn't want to hurt his feelings by saying she doesn't want you there.
I don't know.
I mean, this is a failure on her part, no matter what, on mom's part, not OP's part, because she either didn't communicate it or just blatantly went against it. It doesn't matter why, but it wasn't really a boundary though. Yeah. It wasn't like hey, if you bring him, you won't come in. There wasn't there wasn't like this will happen if you don't respect this, because she just assumed she was going to respect it.
Right. So, show up. Like, this mom made it about her, in my opinion, in this situation, and did not show up for her daughter. Yeah. She brought her like stepdad, stepbrother, in a moment where it could have been about mother and daughter, and her showing up for her in a way because she understands being there. She understands what giving birth is like, but instead she made it about what she wanted and just completely dismissed the daughter's feelings after she had just given birth, which is like one of the most amazing and hardest moments of a woman's life if she chooses to do that. And for her to just stomp on that, it just like pisses me off.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the one moment where your mom should be showing up for you in a way that like makes you feel reassured and makes you feel special and makes your mom like is there for you, specifically you, not just the baby, not just this, but like showing up for you. Yeah. And the mom was like, shit on that. I'm just going to bring everyone, even though I brought you a gift. Like,
your mom being there the moment you become a mom.
Yeah.
Like, to celebrate you becoming a mom as a BFD. And she instead... She definitely gets this. Let's go down the list. What all should I press here? I'm sending it to Ask on One. Not being a woman who has birthed a child, like, I can't speak to what that moment is and how sacred it is, for to have the mom there or have the people that you choose there. But it feels like an Ask on One thing to do. Cake, reward, story time. Title of this one, Am I the Astronaut for Not Having a Group Birthday? My husband, 30 male, and I, 34 female, have 2 kids. Our son, 3 male, and our niece, 17 female, of whom we have custody. It's probably relevant to mention that our niece is related to my husband by blood and me by marriage. Our son's birthday was this Wednesday, and our niece's birthday was the day after, on Thursday. Tomorrow, Saturday, we are hosting a birthday party for our son. While I was in the kitchen prepping stuff, my husband came in and started right in saying it was my fault that tomorrow no one is going to bring presents for our niece and that it's going to make her feel left out and excluded. My husband's family is very small and not close, but some family friends of his are coming. His mom sent a present that we gave her to open on her birthday. Anyway, I was taken aback and confused. I told him this party was always intended just for our son, and that I assumed at the time that our niece wouldn't want a big party because she's very introverted and doesn't like to be the center of attention. Our niece later confirmed that assumption. I asked her at the time what she wanted to do for her birthday. If she wanted friends over for a sleepover, a girls' dinner party thing, movie marathon, etc., etc. Anything she wanted. She said she wanted to just stay in and play games online with her friends, and she did that. We also took her out to eat on her birthday to the restaurant of her choosing and got her a chocolate mousse cake with a bunch of gifts. I wanted to give her as nice of a birthday as I thought she would allow, given that she doesn't like people fussing over her. I'm telling this to my husband, and he is still insisting that I should have made it a group party because now it's going to be awkward because when he ordered the cake, he told them to put all 3 of our names on it. My birthday is on Sunday.
Okay.
So he went rogue, and now he's panicking. I told him that I never said to do that. He argued that he didn't know it wasn't a joint birthday.
That's a you problem.
I told him that the invites were made over a month ago. They're dinosaur themed and very clearly say that it's a party for our son. He claims he never saw them, even though he literally saw them the day they got printed. I'm like, wouldn't he have designed them? It's not like that in every family. I get it. He then had the audacity to say that I needed to call the bakery in the morning to change the cake. It's on you to fix my up.
Okay.
I refused, saying that the cake was the one task that was his, and I had already had to call this morning and try to change the order to a larger cake because he didn't get the one big enough, which he only felt he needed to mention last night. When I called this morning, I could tell the lady wasn't happy about it, understandable, especially because he waited until Wednesday of this week to even place the order. So like hell, I was going to call again a second time to fix another mistake I didn't make. He was still trying to argue, and I had had enough and told him to go away. By that point, I had spent 15 straight hours shopping, cleaning, and prepping for this party. Now I'm starting to wonder if I did make a mistake by not having a joint birthday. So, am I the astronaut? Is this really about having a joint birthday or not? Is that really the issue here?
No, it's that he's being a baby. You had one job. Your job was to order the cake and you it up.
Yeah. Go ahead and put hubby's name on there too because he's turning 3.
Dude, you had one job. You didn't order the big enough cake and you put multiple names on it. And also, I feel like this was up to the niece and she declined. She didn't want the party.
Yeah.
And I mean, you did everything correctly by asking her and she said, no, I would rather do this. I don't. And some people are like that and they don't want to be fussed over. They don't want a big party. They don't want this done. And she declined. And so making it her party would have just upset her. Like, is he even paying attention to anything or is he just floating off in his own little orbit around ASCON 2? I'm not sure. Because what the dude?
I'm just happy that he's a worse ASCON than I am. I'm pleased. He's one planet further than I am most of the time. This has nothing to do with the combo party. This has everything to do with him up and not wanting to take responsibility for it. And that's it, OP. That is it. Am I the astronaut for telling my wife to drink less water on a road trip? For the past 2 days, my wife and I have been on a road trip exploring states in the American West. We've seen some incredible sights such as the Grand Canyon, and we already had some great stories for our future kids. But my wife has been doing something really irksome, especially today, and we can't seem to agree on what to do. My wife has been drinking water to an excessive degree, and it's causing her to need rest areas multiple times per day. Heaven forbid you pee more than twice per day. To make matters worse, she always visits the water fountain to refill her bottle after using the restroom, which causes the cycle to repeat herself. I tried delicately broaching the subject a few hours ago, and she was very upset with me. I politely asked if she could limit her water intake because she was causing delays to our schedule. She said that she was really thirsty and that I needed to drink more water myself since it's close to 100 degrees. I laughed and reminded her that we weren't doing any physical activity while seated in the car, which has AC, and therefore my cup of coffee and glass of water at breakfast was enough until supper time.
What? No, it's not.
I also joked that if she was this thirsty that perhaps she was diabetic. It was meant to be good-natured ribbing, but she unloaded on me and has been silent ever since. I'm typing this while she's off on another of her little bathroom detours, and I'm really starting to wonder whether she wants to continue this trip with me at all. She has made no effort to drink water like a reasonable human, and I think this may be her passive-aggressive way of saying that she hates my idea of a road trip vacation. I think it would be really unfortunate if we can't get this worked out soon, but she seems hell-bent on continuing to disrespect me. I'm really starting to become a bit disheartened here. Am I the astronaut? I have a question for you, OP. Someday, if and when, heaven forbid, you do have children, when your kids have to pee, will that be purely out of disrespect for you as well? Or might they actually need to empty their bladder? How is her having to pee disrespecting you?
Because he's a little bitch.
You little dehydrated bitch!
Also, 1 glass of water at breakfast is not enough for the day, especially they said they went to the Grand Canyon, higher altitudes. Like, you need more water. Maybe your wife is actually, like, doing the right thing and you're just an asshole because that's what it looks like. I drink a shit ton of water and we have multiple kids no matter where we go. And you have never once
all drink a shit ton of water.
You have never once felt disrespected by the fact that somebody had to have a bodily function. Somebody has to pee. Don't disrespect me in this car. That's dude. What you said? Do you hear yourself? Do you hear what you sound like? You're an asshole. Like,
having to pee is fine, but I will get out that shit bucket.
Gosh.
I'm just kidding. I'm not going to get out the shit bucket.
I can't help but like drink more water on a road trip. I don't know. It's just. I'm a huge water drinker anyways, like Dustin and I both are. We drink a ton, but do not police my water intake.
Taylor, yes, he's cranky because he's dehydrated.
100%.
And he did say husband. Ask Blunda. He said husband, not boyfriend. Unfortunately, this isn't about disrespecting you, OP. This is an actual bodily function that is normal. I would say, if anything here, his approach is not normal here. Maybe he grew up like this, where, dad was militant about the road trip thing. It's like, okay, you stop drinking water at 8 p.m. because tomorrow we're going to be on the road all day and we ain't stopping for nothing. If you got to pee, you better get that Gatorade bottle out. Make sure you get the wide mouth one. And that's all you got. I ain't stopping for nothing for nobody.
If you try to police my pee habits, I have panic bladder. Like, as soon as I know there's not a restroom available, my body's like, hey.
It's like when you hide and you have to pee, like the old hide and seek.
The intensity increases. Yeah.
Dr. Sweet's dropping the 5 said, if you pee more than me, that is an act of war.
Right.
That's how he's taking it. Isn't that wild?
Maybe you guys need to like take a break with like 2 hotel rooms and like just get some space away from each other, because maybe the proximity and stuff is.
Oh, maybe you're just getting on each other's nerves because you're on a road trip. Yeah,
I don't know. But you were being a straight up asshole to your wife because she has to go pee. I think women pee more than men in general.
I pee quite a bit, but I'm over 40 now, so apparently that happens.
It's because I made you start drinking more water.
Yeah, and I drink a shit ton of water now.
You drink till your pee is clear.
And then you keep going until you drown internally.